everyone, it's Stephanie from Serene Clean, and in this video we're going to kind of rapid fire answer a lot of commonly asked questions in relation to commercial cleaning accounts specifically. And I'm the owner of Serene Clean. We do probably about 60% commercial accounts versus our residential accounts, and we definitely are very interested in just increasing the amount of commercial accounts, as a lot of you who are watching probably are, because commercial can be so incredibly lucrative, very streamlined, incredibly maintainable, meaning you know what you're getting into every single time for the most part, as opposed to residential, and just that consistent and typically bigger amounts of revenue compared to residential. So many reasons to pursue commercial. So let's get into some of these questions. So number one, any personal stories and experiences that I have with commercial. So we have commercial that varies from once a month little office that takes an hour or two, all the way up to full-time hours basically for a cleaner, whether that be split between two cleaners or one cleaner. Our largest account currently is a federal research facility. So that was a federal bid. That was an ordeal to get through, but once we did, and now that we are maintaining that account, it is so lucrative. It's incredibly consistent, very easy to maintain high standards there as well, because we're cleaning it every day. We have multiple large accounts. And for me, in my personal story, I opened in April of 2019 completely with the goal of only doing residential. I was like, commercial's too overwhelming. I'm going to have special skills. I'm not going to be able to meet the client's needs and what they are looking for when it comes to tasks. And then all of a sudden, a couple months into the business, a large commercial facility reached out to me asking if I would do a walkthrough. And we're talking 100,000 plus square foot manufacturing facility. And I was so nervous. And again, I was 22. I just started house cleaning. I didn't even have any staff members. And so I went and did the commercial facility walkthrough. They were asking me, what year did I graduate? That type of thing, because they were trying to figure out how old I was because I was so young. But I did the walkthrough. I presented them with a bid, and I had no idea how to bid because I took it for face value when they said they had 2 full-time janitors doing this work. So I assumed that it takes 16 hours a day to complete the work. And I went off of that, and I bid off how much it would take for me to provide 2 full-time people. And so I wildly overbid, because when people have janitors on staff, they definitely like to take their time. There's no rush, because they're an hourly employee. Getting through their stuff faster actually is not good for them. And because there's no parameters most likely set of production rates or how fast they are supposed to be getting through things. They can kind of just, be lackadaisical about timelines. So that was a huge mistake of mine, big learning lesson there, that if somebody says my janitor takes this long, doesn't always mean that's how long those tasks actually take. Sometimes it can, but not always. Secondly, the opportunity that came out of that is they said, okay, not the full facility, all these things we're asking you to do. What would it be to just do the front offices every single night, Monday through Friday? And so I came back with a price, again, very much guessing. I was like, I bet this will take like 2 to 3 hours a night. It ended up taking 45 minutes a night because I had no idea how fast you can get through commercial. Because remember, I'm coming off of just starting house cleaning, and I'm so slow. So I'm like, commercial is going to be the same. It is so not the same, guys. It is much faster how you can get through spaces, especially if you're going every day where it's like dust isn't accumulating. It's just so much easier to maintain things. So we flew through it. We were making great profit. And then we were able to actually get my first office fairly easy. And it was just a little shoebox downtown, but it gave so much legitimacy for clients and employees alike to start respecting me more and respecting that this business was real, if you will, as opposed to just running it out of my 2-bedroom apartment. Especially when it comes to employees coming to my house and getting supplies out of a garden tote outside my door, because that's how I started it. And so you do what you got to do, totally bootstrapped, but that one commercial account gave us that little extra that we can then get a small office, and it really helped kind of motivate me and keep me on track that this is a real thing. I'm not I'm not stopping this. And once you have a big account like that, it's like, okay, we gotta do the thing. So I think it really helped me grow. And so the things I'm going to talk about today, it won't be necessarily like, go do what I did. That's just the opportunity that came to me. And the reason that came to me is because I had a beautiful website from day one. Even when it was just Stephanie, they didn't need to know that. It was built out. It said I did put commercial services on the website, I believe, early, but I was just like, oh, maybe like a small office. But I had no intentions of doing large facilities. So all of that to say, that account lasted for 5 years. They added continually on. We went through COVID together. They added twice daily cleanings for COVID. We started doing their shop bathrooms, their conference rooms, their break rooms, like every aspect that wasn't the actual shop floor, we were cleaning for them. And it was a very large facility. So that was about 4 hours of work a day for one cleaner. And so very consistent, excellent account. They have been going through some financial hard times in their business, so they chopped us, and that's totally fine. That's how sometimes it goes. And the relationship was wonderful and really bolstered my confidence. Getting that one account allowed me to pursue other large manufacturing facilities in our area, because blue collar, kind of factories those are our big bread and butter accounts. They are our most consistent. We have, consistent staff on them, and really they've just been wonderful additions, and absolutely not what I envisioned when I opened Serene Clean, that we'd be cleaning factories. Like, that's not at all what I thought, but it has proven to be a wonderful, wonderful thing. And once you get something like that under your belt, you really feel like you can accomplish so much, and that like, oh, I can do this because I didn't know how to do it, and I figured it out. And once you start figuring things out, which is business ownership, you can do other hard things, and it opens you up to more possibilities. And for us, that has gone in a lot of different directions, and I could talk for an hour on all of that. But yes, so all of that to say that first commercial account changed the entire trajectory of what Serene Clean was going to be long term. So all of that to say, let's get into some of these questions. So I went over, why should a residential cleaning business consider adding commercial cleaning services? Consistency, you know what to expect, and the cleanings are typically easier. There's not going to be soap scum that you're scrubbing. You're not cleaning ovens usually, and just, consistency. I love it. And more money as well. And not necessarily always more profit, but larger revenue numbers. So there's just more left over for you to do things with. So it's very, very consistent. So biggest differences between managing residential and commercial cleaning. Quality is always going to be important across both. When it comes to managing like commercial employees versus residential, I really don't see a lot of difference in how we behave around them. Our quality checks are done regularly on all commercial accounts. And then we are touching base with them via email monthly. And then quarterly, we go and do a physical walkthrough, check through. Unless there's some complaints going on, then we'll step in and be more proactive about that. But that has really mitigated our complaint rates to be very, very low. But honestly, there can be some differences when it comes to supplies and stocking. I would say, now that I think about it, that's probably the biggest difference between residential and commercial, is you are going to be responsible for replenishing expendable items. So paper towels, toilet paper, tampons, garbages, like taking all the garbages out, as well as communicating when stock gets low. Some accounts handle that. Other ones are going to ask you to do that. So making sure that your cleaner knows exactly what is expected to them. And of course, this is in the way of your notes in ZenMaid, as well as the cleaning checklist that you provide, combined with the video walkthrough, which we will get into that a little bit later when it comes to like being successful. So I would say that's one of the biggest things, but there's so little different, because for us, we do not offer things like floor stripping or refinishing. We're not doing windows. We know what we can do now, and maybe someday in the future, we add more service range to our current clients and our current like cleaning skills. However, I'm not comfortable or desire to get into that when there's no need for it right now. And I really just do not want to be jack of all trades, master of none. I want to be excellent at cleaning, and anything that requires, refinishing or ladder work, I'm not interested in. So it's okay to say we don't provide these things. totally okay. Don't feel that pressure to do things that you're not comfortable with task-wise. If you're like, you would have to get certified or all new skills or very expensive equipment. We don't need any of that because we clean it just like we clean a house. It's just perhaps more disinfectants or different products that they want you to use based on their particular facility's needs. But for the most part, really and truly, it is so similar to house cleaning. You can clean a house. You can definitely clean a business if you are able to clean well. What are the first steps a residential cleaning business owner should take if they want to start offering commercial cleaning? I would say you need to get that on your website that you provide it. And the goal is to get your foot in the door somewhere, whether that be a friend. Your current clients are definitely the ones to go to because a lot of our clients are business owners or managers or administrative staff who have influence over how the cleaning is being done, whether that be they are getting a service provider, another company, they have a janitor, they have an individual cleaner who's just somebody who's basically a one-off crew, or they're doing it internally. The office staff are doing it potentially. So there's several options of how people are handling their commercial cleanings now. And all of that to say is a lot of people have more influence than you would think when it comes to a business making decisions. It's not just the owner. It's not just the top corporate level who makes that decisions. Oftentimes, everybody kind of has a say of like, and especially if people are complaining, if everybody's complaining about the cleaning being done poorly, they all have a lot of sway and that manager is going to take notice. So what I would suggest is take a look at your current clientele. If you are an established business, meaning residential, and just start talking like, hey, next time you see them, I'm interested in getting into commercial. How does your workplace do your cleaning? And just start gathering that information. And I would not be opposed to doing even like a one-off free cleaning of a commercial account, like a small office or something, just to impress them and get your foot in the door and then start getting some marketing material from them. But yes, just making people aware that you do offer it, whether that be through your marketing or just talking to your current customers. That would be one of the first steps I would take before we get into, a little bit more nuance on how I would suggest obtaining commercial accounts, which we will get into that in a little bit. Is there a particular type of commercial job, examples, offices, small businesses, retail spaces, that's easiest for residential cleaners to start with? Definitely small offices are going to be the easiest. So professional buildings, whether that be insurance companies or small retail spaces, things like that, because it's almost identical to cleaning a house. And usually it can be done in a couple hours at most. So it's not like you have to get a full-time cleaner to get this, where if you get a large commercial account, it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to staff that? The caveat of if you think you are capable of hiring somebody and managing that, or you yourself are able to accommodate that cleaning in your own schedule, having large accounts early on, if you can swing it, is so valuable because now you have that, street cred basically that you can point to. It's like, oh, we clean for them. We definitely can handle it for you, and it really gives leads some confidence, and you can casually name drop. Every time I do a walkthrough, I'm name dropping like, oh, we clean there, we clean there, we clean there, because these people have freely said, yes, you can use our name, or they've given us public reviews or testimonials. And so there's no problem in saying we clean at all of these places that are as big or bigger than your facility. Darn right, we can do that for you. But if you're starting out, getting that confidence can be easier done if you just start taking little accounts. So those would be a great way to pursue. And again, look at who your current clients are and what businesses that they work into. So small businesses are great to do, and kind of those mid-size where you're just visiting either 1, 2, or 3 times a week would be probably ideal. Even banks can be a bit tricky to start in. Some of our most challenging clients have been banks, whether that be from scheduling or just the sheer security of it, having issues getting into it. I will tell you a horror story. One time I was cleaning a bank and oh gosh, this is embarrassing, but I'm going to tell it anyway because it was a learning lesson. So I was cleaning this bank and you have like a key card or key, obviously, to get in. And so I had my janitor's cart and I had my cell phone, my house key in there, like just all my, my purse or whatever I had because it was after hours. And I went out because they have an ATM area so that people can come inside and at any time and use the ATM, but they can't access the actual bank, if you know what I mean. And so I didn't realize that door locked behind me. So I clean the little ATM room and I go and the door is locked and it's locked with the bank key in it, with my cell phone in it, and with the house key. So that was a pickle and very embarrassing because I had to, one, figure out how to get a hold of anybody, and then two, reach out to our contact there who was at her child's like baseball game and pull her away from it. So wear the key around your neck like your life depends on it. Never ever have the key anywhere else. Have it in your pocket. Never set it down because that was very embarrassing. Same account. Secondarily, always have your staff take keys back to the office before they go anywhere else. So with a lot of commercial accounts, they want to give you a key. We're getting away from this and just like having it require that they have a lockbox at the facility so that we can have it there. And that will hopefully eradicate a lot of these issues. But obviously this was early on and I didn't know what I was doing. So she had the key with her and she cleaned the bank, and then she went to her house and pulled into her driveway. And we're in a small town, 5,000 people, right? So typically very safe. She left her car running because she was just running into her house to grab something and come back to her car. Her car got stolen from her driveway with a bank key in it. And let me tell you how absolutely mortifying it was to come to the bank and said, hey, we lost your key. And not only did we lose your key, it was in a stolen vehicle. So luckily, the vehicle showed up, luckily the vehicle showed up at the bottom of a river. So that's cool. I felt really bad for my employee. Obviously, she had insurance. But yeah, definitely lesson learned on that. And definitely pro tip, do not label the keys with what facility they go to. Make sure it's completely anonymous and just have next to your lockbox, have a kind of a key. So number 1 is this bank. Number 2 is this insurance office. Number 3 is the hardware store, so that the keys are just with a number. So I know maybe if you have commercial accounts, this may seem so rookie, but I made all these mistakes. So I'm trying to share them with you so that you don't feel the same pain and suffering that I had felt getting commercial accounts. So what tools, equipment, or software might need to be updated or added when transitioning to commercial jobs. So there are going to be some tools that absolutely make your job a lot easier in commercial compared to what you would do in residential. For example, dust mops and large mops with big mop heads, because floors, I would say across the board, take the longest time, really oftentimes in houses, but for sure in commercial, is floors will be the bane of your existence. So anything you can do to make the floor cleaning process faster. Dust mopping, backpack vacs potentially, depending on your preference there, large mops, all of these things will make it a lot easier. When it comes to any, cleaning supplies, there may be degreasers that are wanting to be used. It just really depends on what the facility is. But for the most part, we clean it just like we would clean a house. So, microfiber cloths, like there's still like this base core thing. There typically is a larger emphasis on disinfecting in commercial facilities. So it may be worthwhile to buy concentrate and then dilute for affordability. When it comes to disinfectants, just easier, or you can buy ready-made sprays, whatever. And a lot of times they are going to be providing this stuff. Take a look at what's in their current janitor's closet and say, hey, is this something that I will be able to use, or do I need to provide this? Because they may have a completely decked out janitor's closet, or that might be the current provider stuff and they're going to take everything. So, that could even come down to the actual janitor cart itself, like the yellow cart. We have to buy those sometimes for large accounts because it's a big account. Janitor cart you absolutely need. So anything you can make yourself go as fast as possible through the facility, because some of these places are just massive, very, very sprawling. And so you need to make sure that your cleaners have what they need to get through a space as quickly as possible. When it comes to software, honestly, we don't use any special software based on commercial. Now, if I was only a janitorial service, yes, I would potentially look at softwares specifically geared towards them, but we're a hybrid company. I need something that serves both. So for scheduling, obviously ZenMaid, QuickBooks is going to be across the board for everything. Really, the one thing I would say is going to be some type of estimating software or bidding software would probably be very advantageous. And we currently do not use any bidding software. We all know how long it takes to clean. Myself and my managers have all been cleaners. And so we are very good at walking through spaces and estimating what each space is going to take based on what the requests are for tasks completed. However, if you are not experienced or you do plan on doing strictly commercial or majority commercial, I think it would be wise to invest in a bidding software. And there's a plethora of ones out there. Do your research. Don't just hop on the shiniest thing. Make sure you really, really dig into reviews, especially if they are pricier. I think it's important to reach out to, if you can get a hold of any current customers, get their experience and what they don't like about it. And obviously go to your AI tools and use those to pick the brain of your buddy AI. That's what I do all the time when I'm looking at a variety of softwares, because I get so much information overload, just like I'm sure all of you guys do, when I'm trying to figure out is a new software a good decision or not, because so often we can add softwares thinking it's like the bee's knees, and then turns out it's not what we were hoping for. And a lot of times you can't know that till you get into it. So to avoid that risk, definitely do as much due diligence. But that's why I just love AI tools, because they really help hone and gather all the information that's out there and tell us pros and cons of different softwares, and especially when it's applicable to what you are going to be doing. So definitely do that. Otherwise, honestly, I can't think of any other softwares that I could foresee needing. There is, task management softwares for where it kind of literally creates work orders, and then your cleaners are handling that. But again, we use, checklists, ZenMaid, video walkthroughs, and then quality checks all kind of accomplish that. And it's not so clunky for the cleaners, because I did try that one time early on of putting all the tasks, and they had to take photos and all of these things. And it was so clunky. And a lot of the accounts are in very steel-esque buildings. And so the phones wouldn't be working, or the tablets. And so it just wasn't what I was hoping for. And it just was unnecessary. We have a very low complaint rate. We don't use anything like that. We use all those other things I'm talking about. So that's what I think on that. So how should a business adjust its quoting and pricing strategies when offering commercial services? So there's a lot of things about this, and a lot of it has to do with, how much competition is in your area. What are they doing now? What are they paying now? So a lot of residential, including myself, does hourly charging for first-time cleans, maintenance cleans, all of it. Maybe you do a hybrid model where you do hourly for the first time, and then maintenance cleans are charged at a flat rate, what have you. Commercial accounts almost always are going to want a flat rate. And honestly, you should want a flat rate for commercial, because you're going to get faster at these facilities as time goes on and you maintain it. So that's only going to make your profit margin larger. So you're definitely going to want to go flat rate. I have a wide variety of kind of what we're making percentage wise at commercial facilities. And I'll speak to, what we're making hourly there, because even if I'm charging flat rate, of course I can calculate out how much we are making per hour. And obviously we're in rural Wisconsin and rates can be different elsewhere, but I really find that a lot of bigger cities, because there's so much competition and cheap competition, that it can be a bit of a struggle with pricing. And that's why you need to be able to show why you're different and why, you're worth a higher price than anybody else who maybe is trying to do a race to the bottom, which is never what we want to do. So, number one, I do not suggest charging by square foot in commercial. I'm pretty adamant about that, unless you are literally measuring out with a laser measuring tool, the cleanable space. Because when I say 100,000 square foot facility, that is not the cleanable space. So if I were to then divide that out by, square footage and give them a per square footage price, it would be so inaccurate and not at all relevant to the work that is actually going to occur. So I throw that out the door. It is not that way. And also, different areas is going to be, like, okay, square footage of an area where you have to dust mop and mop versus just vacuum. Okay, that may be the same size room, but it's going to take different amounts of time because of the labor associated with those specific tasks. So definitely don't go that way. I mean, if it's working for you, great, but I don't see how it could work for us unless I did start whipping out a measuring tape and measuring spaces, which it just doesn't feel necessary. So you may have to, especially if it's a big account, be I see it as like a quantity discount. And sometimes it's the complete opposite and you can get really high. But I would say our lowest commercial account is still going to be around, we're making like 43 to 45 per man hour. Oh gosh, my earrings always fall out when I'm doing videos. I must just move a ton. Well, you guys know that. I'm like, ah. But anyway, and then some of our highest accounts, we're doing like 60, 65 plus per man hour because we're just zooming through. And obviously the goal is to get the bid as high as possible. And they still say yes, of course. And that's, part of the bidding process is asking, what's your budget? And, maybe if it's super unreasonably low, it's like, we're not going to, doesn't mean I'm going to try to hit that necessarily. It's like, well, this is our price. People will always try to get the lowest deal. I mean, just like you and I would. And you think that that's what you want, but really what you want is the best value. So if you can provide a ton of value and explain that in your process, your sales process, then you may convince them that you are worth it, because you can't just say, I'm worth it, but with nothing to back it up, right? Why are you worth it? You need to explain the difference. And that, for us, that's going to be consistency. The cleaning's going to get done. We have a very, very, stringent quality control procedure. So they're not going to have complaints. If they do have an issue, we are incredibly communicative. Our cleaners are friendly and happy to do the job right. A lot of our commercial facilities literally are buying their cleaners gifts. They love them so much. There's just so much that we can offer them. And again, the consistency is a huge problem, whether they have had staff that don't show up, commercial facilities that don't show up, and no lack of, and a total lack of accountability of what is actually getting accomplished here. They're checking the cameras, they're on their phones the whole time, and they're just half butting different cleaning tasks. So, they're going to be checking up on that stuff. And so really asking them, like, what's the most important things? What have you been lacking from your current cleaning, or what is it? What you need to ask these questions, because then that tells you exactly what you need to say to sell yourself. Well, you've had a lack of consistency in attendance. Well, we have multiple backups. I literally say, come hell or high water, the cleaning is getting done, right? And so obviously now some of our accounts are very flexible. If a cleaner calls out, we'll just ask, like, hey, can we skip? We're coming tomorrow. They're typically fine. We just adjust the price. And so sometimes that needs to happen. But in the beginning, really, really focusing on getting that done, checking in, making sure they're happy, and just adjusting quickly if something needs to change. Those are all things that you can really sell on. And that's where that social proof comes in of, even if you only have residential clients, you need to get reviews. You need to get video testimonials, because that is why commercial facilities find us. Most of our reviews are from residential clients, yet most of our commercial leads are coming from, they found us on Google and they were convinced by our website and they were convinced by our reviews. Obviously, we do have a lot of testimonials from commercial facilities as well. They are definitely willing. If you have a happy commercial client, ask them for a video review. They will most likely be very happy to do so. And those are worth their weight in gold, as I always say. And we're using ones from years ago, now today, still to sell and solicit new accounts. So you need to get that social proof, because you may think businesses are different than individual people who hire you for their house. A lot of times they're not. There's not a lot of difference in how we think, because I want to see social proof regardless if I am buying something from my business or I'm getting something from my home. I want to see that other people have used it and tried it. And so that's why it's so difficult in the beginning, and why you need to do whatever you have to do to get your foot in the door and then nail the cleanings for them. And maybe that's not a forever account. Maybe someday you have to up the price or whatever. And just take it so that you can get some social proof. The caveat being, understand what you can handle when it comes to the schedule. So do not take an account. If you're cleaning all day and then you take an account that can't start till 9 o'clock at night and you're like, I'll just hire somebody. And then that person quits, or is doing a terrible job, when is the quality check happening? When is the rework happening? When are you filling in? That was a huge mistake for me that I did, is I took on a daycare early on. That was a 5-day-a-week account. They didn't have a lot of money. The cleanings had to happen later at night, and they opened at 5 a.m. I had a terrible cleaner on that place, and so they were complaining, and I was trying to give her a chance because I gave way too many chances in the beginning of like, clearly this person is not right for this job, but I just was like, I was desperate, so when you're desperate, you make poor decisions. And so I would go in at 4 a.m. because I didn't want to do it late at night because she didn't get there till late at night, and I would quality check and redo all the work or do the cleaning in general, all over, like complete cleaning regardless. So that was terrible, and I should have never taken that account because it was not feasible where we were at that time, nor was I capable of hiring really well in the beginning. It took a long time to master the skill of hiring and also holding people accountable and not being so nice because I don't want them to be mad at me. So I would rather just make sure that the accounts that you're taking are sustainable for you, or it's like a full, if it's a big facility, maybe it's a lot of consistent hours, because when people are just cleaning for you like 1 or 2 hours a night, they probably aren't going to take it as seriously as if they are doing like 4 to 5 hours a night. So yeah, all of this to say, I know I'm kind of just babbling here, but there's just so much to consider when it comes to pricing, quoting, all of this stuff, and really figuring out what you are willing to do and what is strategically a good idea to do. And this all depends on, like, are you a brand new company? You have no clients, or are you an established residential company and you are now trying to dip your toe into commercial? Because those are two different things. But the basis is all the same. Fabulous website, get reviews, and be able to sell yourself prior. Don't just give them, this is the price. You need to have, a value mindset of like, how can I provide this facility value over what they're currently considering in other competitors, or what they are currently dealing with right now with their current provider. So, okay, what's the best way to market commercial cleaning services to new clients? So as I mentioned, definitely hit up your current clients. But for us, the secret is in the Dream 100 process. And if you've not heard of me speak of the Dream 100 process, buckle up. Okay, so this comes from the book, The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Excellent book. Definitely, if you're out cleaning, go download that. Get it from Libby, that's free library app, or get it from Audible and listen to it. And it will teach you so many things about procuring commercial accounts. That's really, I would say, my holy grail when it comes to getting commercial accounts specifically. Some of it definitely works for residential, but I feel like a lot of it applies for commercial accounts specifically. And so what that looks like is take a look at your service range, make an Excel spreadsheet of all of the top businesses you would like to clean for, and figure out what that looks like. Like, is that for you, like you want only daily accounts, like you are open to any size of account right now, or is it a type of account? Like for us, we don't do bars or restaurants. Zero. We won't do it. We don't want to deal with, there's so much, a lot of times they're wanting kitchen work or it's late night stuff. Don't want to do it. So we just simply don't. So that would never show up on my Dream 100 list, right? Manufacturing facilities, blue collar places, just administrative buildings, that type of thing. City buildings are huge. We do city halls, we do city libraries, we do 3 police departments. Yeah, we just got our 3rd police department. Like all of these things, great accounts. So really just pull up your Chamber of Commerce website, pull up Google, and just start looking at businesses and listing them down. And then we're going to want to figure out the contact information, and we want to figure out how are they actually doing their cleaning. And you're not going to know that till you do a Dream 100 drop off. And so what that looks like is you take boxes of donuts. I go for donuts because those are kind of universally loved. So go to your gas station, get the boxes of donuts. For us in Wisconsin, that is Quick Trip, and they are glazer donuts, and they are amazing. They melt in your mouth. So I like to do something sweet. Of course, you could do popcorn or whatever, but I prefer the sweet treats. Make a sales sheet, what we call our one sheet, and I will definitely put a link in this video description. We will put that there so that you can see what our one sheet actually looks like. And Then we go into each of these businesses with a box of donuts, the sales sheet, and say, hey, I'm Stephanie. I own Serene Clean, and I just wanted to introduce you to our company. We provide residential and commercial cleaning services. Wanted to say hello, introduce myself, and see how are you guys handling your cleaning needs right now. Let them talk. Get the receptionist's name or whoever you talk to. Like, great. Like, how happy are you guys with that service right now? Have them rate it. Anything that's, stands out as not the greatest, and see if they may not want to give you this information. They may be shooing you away, but that's why you bring the donuts, because people's attitudes and demeanor completely changes when you bring them a gift. They're much more likely to be receptive to what you have to say, and it feels a lot less salesy. Then secondarily, the biggest thing is like, well, who would I want to talk to about doing a walkthrough and maybe providing you guys a bid? And then that's it. That's the goal. You're trying to get a walkthrough, and it may be the person you're talking to. It may be somebody else. It's most likely somebody else. Otherwise, I've had, I remember an auto shop. I was talking to the owner, gave him a donut. He was like, well, what would it be to do the bathroom and the break room? And I go in there and I'd be like, like $60 once a month. It's like, okay, let's go with that. It was right there. So sometimes that happens, but that doesn't happen all the time. And really, you won't get a walkthrough from the first time. The point of the Dream 100 is to gather information and put your face out there so that again and again and again, they're getting familiar with you. They like you. You're gathering information about what's important to them. You're documenting them in that spreadsheet. So you get out to your car, you make your note, send yourself a voice message or whatever, and then later on, get that spreadsheet up to date, and then set your date of next time you're going to reach out to them. And so I would say once a month, is a good pace of like popping into that same business. Hey, Stephanie, again, just bringing you some donuts. How's it going lately? How's the cleaning going? How's business been? Just chat them up, right? Build rapport. And then what the point of that is that over time, eventually something is going to give. They're going to be pissed off at their current supplier. They are going to be fed up that their janitors never show up, or they're so sick and tired of cleaning it themselves because they are an office person and they're doing the bathrooms. That doesn't make any sense, and as they grow, it's going to be a lot more resentment building. So that's the little sliver you're trying to get to, is when they are fed up. Who was that lady who brought me donuts? Oh, here's her sales sheet. Let's give them a call. Let's set up that walkthrough. And I've had that happen time and time and time again with some of our largest accounts where it's taken multiple trips and months later, and finally they call and we got the bid because we were top of mind. We stood out. Your competitors are not doing this thing and they're not being consistent with it. And so that is what that looks like. You can also do this in the form of cold emailing, but definitely make sure that you have some social proof linked to that or some video content so you don't seem spammy. Really just trying to get your personality across, because people connect with people, right? That's why the Dream 100 process works so well, is they're connecting with you. It's not just some schmoozy sales email. And so definitely cold emailing has worked really well as cold calling. So if you do not have the capability or time to do a drop off, you can definitely cold call, but that's where you're going to need a good script, which is kind of just like what I described to you earlier. But a great cold calling script will get you far. And I do have those available. If you go to serene-clean.com/consulting services, link in the bio. I have a lot of templates available, but either way, you can absolutely go to ChatGPT and ask for help on a sales script. But this is the one that we use, and it's very tried and true, works really well for us. So that will make you more comfortable. So all of these things definitely work. And actually, I think a year or two had my grandma Sue doing the Dream 100 drop-offs because I did not have the time nor the inclination to do it. I was focusing on other things, or I moved away because I'm now in Savannah and my business is in Wisconsin. So now I really can't go do donut drop-offs. But my grandma wanted some part-time work. She can sell anything to anybody. She's so personable because she's been in customer service, retail, and sales her entire career. And she is super sweet. I have a very similar personality to her, very chatty and outgoing. And so she would go in, and they're especially not going to turn down a grandma with donuts. Who would do that, right? And so they were super not confronted, and we're very happy to talk. And my grandma just knows so many people too. So it worked really well. So those are the strategies I would say I really want to, I know that was a bit of a tangent on but I think it works so well. It's so important, guys, to be soliciting commercial. It's not going to just fall in your lap unless you're Stephanie. And sometimes that does happen the first, 2 months into business, but usually it doesn't happen. And that the only reason that fell into my lap was because I had a beautiful professional website from day one. They would have never found Stephanie on Facebook, that's not how a lot of commercial accounts are. So like researching suppliers or vendors, right? That's just not how it happens. So should residential businesses create a separate website or brand for their commercial services, or can everything be housed under the same brand? I really think it should be housed under the same brand because so many of our residential clients provide us commercial accounts, and so many of our commercial accounts provide us residential. And so we tell this to both of our commercial and our residential cleaners so much, and I reiterate this as often as I can, that their work is getting the business work in the other facets of the business. Somebody's killing at commercial. Oh, you guys do house cleaning? Great. I'll set up that. Or a killer house cleaner. Oh, I own a business. Can you do that? That happens like all the time. So definitely it's okay for your brand to be all on one. And I think it would get confusing and you can have less power because, okay, you're just only getting commercial reviews on the commercial, you're only getting residential here, where it's just like a lot of people don't care what the review actually is for, like what service you actually provided. The point is the experience with the company. And it's like, if we can do well in commercial, we can do well in residential and vice versa. So I would say just make sure you have your services properly labeled and exactly what you do. You may want to use 2 different booking forms. For us with ZenMaid, we have a commercial booking form and we have a residential one. And really that's just for us to gather the lead and then we take it from there and go schedule the walkthrough or whatever we need to do. So I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of keeping it under one brand. I don't think that you are going to weaken your brand messaging. It's just you need to be intelligent about how you educate the masses of the services that you provide. How do staffing requirements change when you move into commercial cleaning? Are there different skills or certifications required? So this comes into what tasks you are going to be doing. If you are doing what I'm describing, which is like basic janitorial and cleaning, no, there is no other skills. I would say our commercial cleaners really prefer routine more so than our residential. And sometimes we have a staff member who absolutely hates residential cleaning. They may be even considering quitting. We've had that happen where like, I don't like the house cleaning. It's too stressful. It's something different every day. And I just don't like that. And so we're like, well, let's try you in commercial. And then they thrive and succeed because what they needed is a little bit more routine and not so much like stress and anxiety about things changing all the time, because residential can be very challenging in that way, especially, somebody cancels in the morning because their kids are sick or whatever. It's like, okay, complete pivot, your schedule is totally different. Where that like never happens with commercial, obviously. They never cancel because somebody is sick typically. So it's very consistent and your cleaners are going to have that. I have residential cleaners who loathe commercial. They're like, do not send us into commercial. I hate it. They don't like it. And that's totally okay. I think it really is a personality thing and a desire thing. I will say though, like your commercial cleaners need to be personable too. I think a lot of people are like, oh, they can just be curmudgeon-y or whatever. Yeah, they may be a little bit more introverted potentially. I would say looking at my staff in general, if I were to categorize, my residential cleaners are much more extroverted and my commercial cleaners are much, much more introverted. Because they aren't talking with people as much. However, they do interact with clients because a common misconception with commercial is that you can only do commercial cleaning at night. No, I have multiple full-time staff members who are daytime commercial cleaners and all of their accounts are done in the day. So many facilities will allow you to clean during the day. For example, look at a church, right? You can clean a church any day except Sunday or Wednesday night. Actually, they want daytime. Almost all of our large facilities want daytime for safety reasons. They don't want us cleaning around, in this facility where there's a lot of machinery, not that we're touching it, and nobody else is around. That's a safety concern. There's, so many, like I said, a hardware store. We clean that during the day. The customers aren't there. We just shut down the bathrooms real quick. So don't be afraid to ask and say, ideally I would prefer it during the day if that's possible. And if something is really, really late at night, we don't do that. And that's okay. Not everybody is your customer. Remember that. And so I know I said earlier, like, take whatever account, but take it within reason of what does that look like. I'm really meaning like take it if it's a little less than what you would prefer to get your foot in the door. You can always raise prices later. And obviously that's not what I would suggest like once you are established, but if you're trying to get some momentum and some of that social proof, that may be necessary. But really when it comes to like time of day, don't kill yourself. Don't do anything stupid when it comes to taking on an account that you know is probably going to fail or it's too far out to accommodate. That was definitely one of my biggest failures is I took an account way too far out because they kept begging for us and I relented and it went terribly because I could not properly staff or quality control it because it was so far away. And driving an hour and a half one way in a snowstorm in Wisconsin to cover when this person would eventually and inevitably call out was a nightmare. And it wasn't worth the stress and turmoil of, are we going to get a complaint today? Because it was like every other day it felt like, and we just couldn't act with an integrity and provide the Serene Clean level of service that is expected from our clients and that I hold myself to and hold the whole company to. So it just felt icky. And anytime something feels icky in the business, because it's not morally right, I don't want to do it. So yeah. Oh, let's see. What advice would you give to someone who struggled to win commercial contracts? That's where setting up that value, building that rapport and that human connection ahead of time and really asking them what is the most important thing. Because if they are just all they talk about is price, it might not be the account for you. And you also could be inaccurately pricing. You know, this is where maybe a software or pricing tool would be useful or having another set of eyes on the price and on the actual task. And I welcome anybody watching this video. You can always send me an email, Stephanie@serene-clean.com. I've had multiple in this past month from the ZenMade Mastermind email me. They're like, I got this big bidding opportunity. Can you just double check my numbers and go through it and see if I'm thinking correctly on this? And it's literally lay out a spreadsheet. What are the tasks? What is the frequency? What is the estimated time per task that we are thinking? Extrapolate that, what it's going to take for the week. Okay, 5 man hours per week. What is that? You know, then you just do the math. 5 hours per week, 52 weeks in a year, divided by 12 so that you aren't worried about the fluctuations because some months have 4 weeks, some months have 5 weeks. So don't ever just do 5 man hours times 4 weeks because that's not accurate. You're actually going to be shorting yourself because you have to account for those weeks that have a higher, or those months that have a higher number of weeks. I know I'm talking about numbers right now and it can be like, bleh, but it is a math thing. So yeah, definitely you can always reach out to me and we can go over that. What's the key to building strong long-term relationships with commercial clients? Do not just set and forget. Don't wait for them to reach out. No news is not always good news. They could be totally unimpressed with your lack of follow-up, of checking on them. They're like, wow, you don't even care to email me to see how it's going or to call and pop in. It is worth the time investment to do quality checks, to check on them, because think of the long-term revenue from this one account, especially some of these bigger accounts. You lose one of those, that could be devastating to your business. It is so important to keep commercial accounts happy, but also don't be afraid to drop them if it seems like they are impossible to please or the pricing doesn't make any sense for you long term, or whatever. It's hard for you to staff it for whatever reason, whether that be location or time of day. So really analyzing, like, is this working? But yeah, like, be friendly, share with them, add them to your newsletter so that they know what you're doing initiative wise, because sometimes commercial accounts can be in a bit of a bubble as to what the company is that they work for, because you want to work with people you want to work with, right? And so, like, for us, you know, in our newsletter, we're putting all of our community initiatives and staff anniversaries and new staff that we're hiring and announcements and cool stuff that we do. So it's good to keep them in the loop so that they like to work with you. And then secondly, just checking with your cleaner, like what are they struggling with in the facility that they are having a tough time, and that communication will be so appreciated. I would rather over communicate in every facet of the business and not leave anybody in the dark of like, oh, she's really struggling with enough time to do this correctly. And so that's probably going to lead to some complaints, or, oh, they they ask the cleaner directly to start adding on tasks. That's a big no-no for us. Big no-no, because what does that mean? Cleaner's going to start taking longer because there's more tasks, but the price hasn't been increased. So really making sure that you explain what the process should look like. Hey, if you want to add on a task, that needs to come to the office, and we'll have that discussion with the cleaners, because even though the cleaner's there every day, they're still the cleaner. You are the management team. So that's what that looks like, is just making sure that communication is very, very high, professional, friendly, and people are much more likely, if you mess up, if you fix it quickly, address it, and take their concerns seriously, than just kind of, blame them. Like, oh, they're too picky. Are they too picky? Or did your cleaner do a shitty job? That's always a possibility. Don't be too proud to think that it's just always the customer who's wrong, because sometimes the customer is wrong, but sometimes they're right? Recommend approaching commercial clients differently. We talked about that. Have you seen any residential businesses attempt commercial jobs and fail? What went wrong? I think lack of communication, lack of checklists, lack of processes and systems related to it, especially when it comes to changing cleaners. So you may start a new facility and you have a cleaner trained on it. You train them on it because you perform the walkthrough. You take the cleaner physically, you show them how to do it. Great. Everything's going good. What happens when that cleaner leaves? What now? Do you physically go and train that again and just keep doing that over and over? And maybe that first cleaner learned a bunch of little tips and tricks that are nowhere to be found in the ZenMaid notes. They're nowhere on the checklist. They've never been communicated from the client directly to you, because the cleaner just picks up on stuff, on how to do things better, more efficiently, things that particular departments of the business care more about. It's like, hey, this lady's really picky. Make sure you sweep under her desk really, really good. All of those things matter, because if somebody has to complain about the same thing more than once and it doesn't get fixed, that is red alert in my mind of, we got, like, something's wrong. Like, what is going on now? Is the cleaner not reading the note? Does the note exist? I would say that is the biggest problem I see, not only for commercial, for all cleaning businesses, is you need to be reminding your cleaners nonstop to be adding any notes to that client's files for any future cleaner. And it doesn't have to be like, in case I fire you or in case you quit. It's when you call out sick and somebody is there to replace you, because you got to throw somebody else in, obviously, you want them to be as successful as possible. And you also don't want to be coming back to a mess, right, when you get back to work. So really relaying it as a benefit to them. And for us in Serene Clean, collaboration is such a big part of our ethos. Even though we do clean individually and everybody's kind of by themselves so much, it's such a team atmosphere, because we're trying to help each other be as successful as possible. And reminding everybody that, like, the money in the business is helping us all grow, succeed, make more, add more benefits, give more to the community. And that's why it's important to do those things, because then it makes it really easy for your cleaners to have buy-in and actually follow through on the things that you are asking them to do. So one of them is, every day we remind them, any notes that would be useful on this account, add them to ZenMaid or communicate those to your managers, and we will add those to the permanent notes, so that if somebody else goes to this account, they can be successful. And then secondarily, have a video walkthrough of every single commercial account. Have a physical checklist made of every single commercial account. Between checklist and video walkthrough, I can send any of my staff members blind into almost every facility, and they may not knock it out of the park, but they're certainly not going to get a complaint, right? Because those checklists are so well done, and the video walkthroughs explain the layout of things. It's not about tasks in the video walkthrough, it's the layout. So we literally do that when we go and bid. That's part of our walkthrough process. At the end, we say, okay, last part is we're just going to take a quick video walkthrough of the spaces that we have looked at. This is so that our cleaners know where everything is, but this also helps us, if we forget anything that we went over in the bid, we can remind ourselves with the video. And nobody has ever turned us down, and we have bid, 100 plus. I don't even know how many facilities we bid. And the only thing is just make sure you don't have any people in that, especially if it's like a daycare or something. You don't want to have kids running around in your video for privacy reasons. But this video is only to be used internally for your staff to understand how to get in the facility, where the garbages are, where the janitor's closet, because all of these things are very difficult to verbalize in writing, so much easier to just show them. So if somebody has to last minute get added to an account, we have them watch the video walkthrough, they read through the checklist, they take the checklist with them, and boom, they can do it. If they're reasonably intelligent, they can handle it. They may not want to go back there ever again or whatever. They're like, I don't like doing that type of cleaning. But this will get the job done. So I would say just all of these things are systems and scaling and details and communication. This is what's going to set you apart from the competition. So when it comes to tools like ZenMaid to expand into commercial cleaning, I mean, ZenMaid is so excellent. One of the things that our clients really love is the GPS clocking in and clocking out, so that we have proof. Obviously, a lot of them have cameras, but it really eases their mind, because so many have gotten burned on janitors saying that they showed up and they did it, or they are in and out in an hour and the owner has no idea because the cleaner is, lying on the time card, or they're paying them a percentage, so they're just flying through. So I would say that ZenMaid really, really helps us with accountability on the staff side of things, and that impresses the clients. And then secondly, just our ability to have the cleaners have all of the, there goes that earring again. That one, I just need to get, somebody send me earring backs, please, I beg you, because this always happens. And so I would say being able to have extensive notes organized at the cleaner's fingertips is exactly what we need. Being able to attach photos, it's very professional. And then we have the information that we need. The booking forms really, really impresses them. So having the ability to make a commercial one, and they're filling that out and having that on the website, sending it them to directly. If you don't have a website yet, or your website's down, which sometimes can happen. Let's see what else. The checklists that are about to come out are going to be huge. Service rating feature to be able to really make sure that everybody is happy. If you don't have that robust quality control system in place that we do, that service rating feature is going to be huge for you. So definitely check that part out, and that's going to help you keep a finger on the pulse of customer satisfaction. So that'll be great. And then finally, just being able to schedule reoccurring cleanings, the reoccurring nature of commercial, it really works well and allows us, if we need to change something in a cleaner's schedule, it makes it so easy to actually change the entire appointment series instead of having to cancel it or redo it in a way. It makes it very easy to make changes. The email templates make it very easy if we need to cancel a cleaning and just quickly send something out, or something needs to change. I do love the email templates as well. So there's just so many things, and I'm sure there's things that I'm missing when it comes to a scheduling software, but non-negotiable. It impressed the commercial clients from day one, just like it impressed my residential clients from day one. And I really just like having everything under one roof, because ZenMaid is so great for residential, and having our commercial cleanings in there as well, because I could not have them separately, because some of our cleaners are hybrid. They can do, they do residential in the morning, and then in the afternoon they do commercial, or they start at 1:00 in the afternoon and then go till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Half of their day is commercial. That's 100% potential. And really our goal with the business is that we can send any commercial cleaner into a house and get it done, and any residential cleaner into a commercial facility and get it done. So I would never be able to see the availability of those staff members to then pull into the different side of the business if I did not have it all in one software. So I would recommend do not have these things separate. And if you are going to do residential and commercial, I would not use a software that is strictly made for janitorial. It will not have the robustness to give your residential clients what you need. So definitely something like ZenMaid is going to be all in one. So as I mentioned, guys, check the link in the bio. We will have that one sheet example, that sales sheet that we are going to be dropping off at commercial clients. We'll have that for you. If you wanted to check out any of my other templates, definitely visit my website, serene-clean.com/consulting services. And as I mentioned, my inbox is always open, Stephanie@serene-clean.com. And I am happy to help with any questions that you have, or if you want to set up a consulting call, you can do so on my website. And of course, be sure to join the ZenMaid Mastermind. on Facebook because lots of great stuff there. I do monthly live Q&As. I post other kind of exclusive content as things happen throughout the business. And it can just be kind of a bit more of an intimate experience where we're all connecting and sharing our troubles and challenges, and everybody can help each other. It's just a really great community. So definitely recommend there. And of course, as always, like and subscribe this video if you enjoyed it, and we will be sure to make more. I hope you have a great day. See you next time.